is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Blowing out of the backfield, exploding down the sideline.
This is Hangin' with the Boys, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton, Kurt Daniels, and Shannon Gross.
Shannon is not hosting. It is Wednesday. It is hump day.
No, not necessarily.
Wow, that's cold-blooded, man.
I am Kurt Daniels. I am filling in the big boy chair today for Shannon, our illustrious leader. He's not feeling well. Says he might be coming down with the flu, but I'm wondering if it's
Don't even say it.
a couple weekends of Mama Grossing.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
just, recovering.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously joined by the star of our show, the great Nate Newton. Sir, how are you
I
today?
wish I was great, but I am Nate Newton. nice to be here with you, Kurt.
We've got Mickey Spagnolison in with us.
Yes, sir.
Well, he's coming out of the bullpen, yes.
All right,
Well, you could talk to Mickey.
We tried to get Just Ted. He's not Fish Killer anymore. He's Just Ted.
Yes, Ted.
Tried to get Just Ted to come on for a little bit. He was regaling us with stories of hunting earlier, but alas, we could not. So.
AKA FK. We can't
Do I dare ask?
R.I.P.
I said, do I dare ask what that stands for?
Yeah, you can.
What does it stand for?
Fish killer.
We've got Douglas behind the wall back there. How you doing, Douglas?
Hey there.
Feel
Doing
free
great.
to jump in today. Without Shannon here, you might actually get a chance to talk a little bit.
Well, we'll see.
That might not be a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mick.
Yeah,
And the camera so that you're not in it.
Hopefully Shannon's not been hanging around with Awuzie because he was ill today and
For real?
missing practice.
Something starting to go through the
Yeah,
team.
better watch I hope somebody sprayed these microphones.
Feeling woozy?
Yeah, see, I told you.
yeah, okay.
What did I say? All right.
You had your chance, Douglas.
Hey,
Cut his mic off.
That's for Mickey. That's an old school newspaper headline right there. Just
Yeah.
waiting to be written.
And we want to be joined by you guys on the show today as well, so feel free to call in 888-855-2297, 888-855-2297. So normally we talk little Cowboys offense, Eagles defense today. What do you
Yes,
think
sir.
about that, Nick or Mickey? You all right with that?
I'm good with that.
All right.
And
My question then right off the bat for you guys.
No. Let's not go there
Okay.
yet, please.
Okay.
Let him give us the injury report.
how did
first.
you know that's what I was going to say?
all right.
Because when you said something about a woozy, we don't
That's
need
true.
this team sick. We don't need this team sick.
Yeah, at least it's ill. It's not an injury,
Right.
If that's a good thing. Guys that didn't practice: David Irving, Tavon Austin, Sean Lee, Jeff Swain. I mentioned Awuzie. Tyron Smith was dressed. He had his pads on. He did all the stuff beforehand, and then after they did a couple of their little drills and they were actually going to get into something, he went outside and he was doing conditioning work with strength and conditioning coach Mike Wojcik. So at least he was dressed, and that's more than he did the prior to the Saints game on Thursday night. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. I think there's some optimism that he can play, but maybe their thought was, you guys, there's no sense him banging that shoulder in pads. You know, if you're going to do it in the game. Let's not waste it in practice. So he probably, I guess they'll probably list him as limited. Zack Martin was out there. He did the early stuff, and Jason Garrett said in the press conference he probably would be limited. Same with Ciafilo. Was out there, has a little bit of a ankle, and then also Maliek Collins might be a little limited. He was still trying to work through, I guess it was the knee thing he had. And the good news is Cole Beasley was out there and looked like he was getting ready to do everything they asked him. So I think there was some worry about him with his foot that came out of that game. And I think he looked like he was moving pretty well. He was working on the cords early and then kind of moved into what everybody else did. So there you have it.
Tyron is. I got the impression that they had hoped Tyron would be ready to go. If he's not, are we starting to get serious concern?
Well, the last couple, I mean, like last week when they kind of knew he wasn't ready to go, that early portion of practice when they kind of do some skeleton drills, Cam Fleming was out there with the first team. He wasn't out there with the first team this time. Tyron was out there. So I think that's a good sign that he's probably moving closer and closer to playing on Sunday. And they need him out there, by the way.
David Irvin, man, me personally, I think he's done for the year, but what's your feel? You're a little bit closer to the team.
Yeah, I look at him as, when you order an ice cream sundae.
Right.
The sundae's pretty good. If you get the cherry on top, sometimes it's better, right?
Right. Right.
So I think he's the cherry on top.
There
yeah.
you go.
And,
Nothing they're counting on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a high ankle sprain, and those things are usually 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, whatever else he's got going on, who knows? But somebody said that he's been seen in the building at least on Monday, which is more than I've seen since he left on a scooter that day, kneeling with the bad ankle on the scooter, one of those little electrical things.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he's not going too fast on it.
I haven't heard really a specific timeline on Swaim.
It was going to be. I'm trying to remember because I was.
That sure was a dad thing to say.
Like,
hope he's not going too fast on that scooter.
4 weeks, maybe. He had to have screws inserted into the fracture of the bone in his hands, and I was told until the screws come out, he's not going to be able to play, even if they pad it up, because obviously you don't have much padding in your hand, back of your hand, so those screws have to come out first. So. Maybe by the end of the season, maybe another week or two, and then he would see if they could play with a pad on.
I just want people. I want people to see how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
But and I said this about 5 years ago. I said I want people to know how good Sean Lee is, and I don't think Swain is as great as Sean Lee is. But that injury thing, man, you
gotta stay healthy.
You were saying yesterday, Swaim's you consider Swaim one of the better tight ends.
Better tight ends in the league. And Mick probably can name them better than I can, but it's 4 or 5 great tight ends in this league, and then there's the rest of the guys. And Swain is at the top of the rest of those guys. That's just what I believe. Now, I don't know what other teams can develop in their tight end position, but he runs his routes, and he's better than an adequate blocker. And he runs his routes and he catches balls. What he does need, maybe that Kelsey don't need, because Kelsey was kind of doing his own thing for a long time, him and Grunt, is he may need other pieces around him to where he can be a complement piece. But as a tight end, as I look at tight ends, he's a good, more than serviceable tight end to me. That's just my feelings on
a complete tight end, not just a guy you're going to send out in the slot and throw passes to like Zach Ertz. And I think they missed his blocking on the line of scrimmage.
You think that there's just so much concern about the tight end position coming into this year. Obviously, we're not getting 25, 27-year-old Jason Witten production, but are we getting the same production we would have gotten out of Jason Witten this year?
I think they would have scaled back his snaps this year to try to preserve him, number one. And I don't know that, the last year or so that his blocking on the line of scrimmage was what he'd been used to seeing.
It took him all like 2 or 3 games, because every year me and Mick like, whoa, Jason ain't doing it. Yeah. And then as the season go on, he get better and better. I'm like, wow, it takes him a couple of games to get warmed up to that speed. And believe it or not, because he didn't practice same with Sean Lee. Remember, it took Sean Lee 1 or 2 games before he just started being Sean Lee. That happens with time.
Yeah, and I think that the more that Schultz has played, I think the better he's become.
Yeah, he seemed like a guy that they almost a wasted draft pick in training camp.
Yeah, and again, you got to remember these are rookies, and they're all of a sudden going from playing against a 20-year-old guy to a 30-year-old defensive end.
Yeah, and see, Jason, and this is one thing I like about Jason. They saw, okay, he ain't where we thought he was. And And instead of them saying, okay, we just gonna beat him down, they brought him along. And a lot of people don't like that. But they brought him along. And so now he's starting to come in. Like Blake Jordan, I'm like, why is they even putting this dude on the field? Because you know what I started calling the guy.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, man, he's snake bit. You
Yeah.
know? But now things are starting to come in, and sometimes it just take that time. And Schultz, I think, gonna be all right, but Swain is better than all right. And if we gotta go, I don't think we have to go out and David Hellman may think a little different, or a few other guys. I don't think we have to go out and make drafting a tight end a priority. I just don't. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. We've made so much about the weakness at tight end, but is it that much weaker than?
I mean, I think if you have one of those guys, the Kelce's, Ertz, hey, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that guy and you just have a complete tight end, if you get to the end of the season and you tell me I didn't make the playoffs because I didn't have a good enough tight end, I ain't listening to that.
Yeah.
Right?
You got bigger problems.
That's weak.
There's only 2 tight ends in this league right now, and there's never been more than one that you can say, hey, that guy that can get me to the Super Bowl. And that's just how it goes. I mean, there's been some great tight ends that came through these, but you still needed them outside guys to make that great tight end greater. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, think about what Ertz did the first time around against the Cowboys.
Yeah,
In
14
Philadelphia.
catches.
14 catches for 145 yards. And they really didn't get to 20 until that last drive when the Cowboys were trying to make them milk the clock to move down the field. So despite 14 catches for 145 yards, with a few minutes left in the game, they had 13 points. So
because the tight end, the traditional tight end, and even if he's in the slot, he still brings that extra man into the box. He still, people say, well, and the only time he can really help you is if he's legit like that. Now he really helps the slot receiver because they got to make a decision on who they're going to double on the inside. That's why I think now, the outside guy really helps Cole Beasley. But if our tight end, if we had Swain or somebody we can just really have in there, now Cole Beasley, because I'm like, we shouldn't lose on Cole. We shouldn't. And now I didn't know he was hurt.
Yeah, he finished the game though.
Right.
So that was the good news. But he did kind of on the play that he dove for the first down.
Yeah.
He kind of sprained his foot a little bit. But I saw him doing the cord work out there, and he looked like he was moving just fine.
It's just Cole should be having some outstanding games now. I mean, going down the stretch, man, I wouldn't be surprised. He should average at least 5 catches, not no 5 targets. He should average 5 catches, 60 or 70 yards, just first downs every game. He should.
At this point, it seems he's obviously because of Cooper, his targets have dropped, though. So is that
but
change?
You got to remember when they was willing and he had the 700-yard season, we had Witten and Dez doing well.
True.
So, man, please. I believe that you can beat people with a complete package. If you got Amari Cooper and you got Zeke in the backfield and your offensive line is starting to try to be something, now all you need is a good slot, a good tight end, and a good other receiver. You don't need them great. You just need them to be good, be consistent.
Yeah.
And I think Cole Beasley is on the upper end of slot receivers. So we should be – because I like I told Hellman at the show, the happy hour the other day, Mick, 28 points shouldn't be an issue for us now. I mean, do you think?
I think you're right there. I'm right there with you. And as long as you don't keep wasting first and goals at the 4 and having to kick a field goal,
right?
And that's happened far too many times in the last 4 or 5 games.
So that okay, yes, 28 points shouldn't be an issue, but it is. So why
is
it all about the red zone? I mean, why? I mean, it's we're average. We're still 24th in the league in points.
Yeah, yes, I don't know if the New Orleans game was an outlier because the offense was starting to roll. The amount of points they were producing during this 4-game winning streak, the other 3 games, the offense was rolling. The guys' numbers have been high.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, yeah. They
I mean,
had
what
31 against Washington, 22 against the Falcons, 27 points.
And then what was the other?
27 at the Eagles.
And
so,
27 at the Eagles. So if you're right around that 25 to 28, you're doing fine.
Let me, if our offensive line can just take away 4 sacks, 4 or 5, I'm serious. You're going to give up 1 or 2 sacks just on mistakes. But then when you start getting to 4 or 5, you got to stop.
How about 7?
Yeah, I know. You got to stop. I don't even want to go to 6 or 7. You have to find a way to not let him get hit that many times, and he has to find a way to get that field back so he can drop to the ground or something, because protect that ball. But I know in this league now, you can give up some sacks and you can still have a successful passing game, but to be plummeted, you can't be plummeted and expected to perform. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, think about it. What did he throw for against the Saints? Like 240 yards?
Yeah.
He got sacked 7 times.
Yeah.
They and
4 in the first half, 3 in the second.
The sacks don't show or haven't harmed what they've done. Because
Right.
he gets sacked 7 times, they still win the game.
Right.
Over the 4-game winning streak, he's been sacked 17 times, and they've won all 4 games. That number suggests you should lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their history, times when they've been sacked 7 times, they've won 6. In their entire history.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Well, how about the 11 sacks?
When they've been sacked 7 times, they won 6 games. They usually lose those games.
Yeah, they didn't win those games when they got sacked 11 times. Peyton Newton.
But the thing, what you're trying to do is, and a lot of, it's kind of like the NBA. It's like you can shoot 45% in twos or 39% in threes. 39% in threes going to win.
Yeah.
So people saying now they need plays. They just want more and more offensive plays. They need the plays. If we can get enough plays, we're going to score some points. Well, we're not built like that. We built on efficiency. So when we get inside the red zone, that is truly, truly big for us. Because we ain't striking anywhere on the field besides what Cooper has done. We just not a
They're
big
only
strike
missing
team.
by this much with Gallup, right?
Yeah.
Those big plays. Just haven't quite hit those.
Well, we mentioned the offensive line a couple times with the injuries. The guys are kind of banged up, and then with the other
Travis missing totally.
But I don't if you've all seen it or not, John Owing in the Morning News today had an article that from his film review, he thinks that Connor Williams should now be put back in over Su'a-Fila. And I know we've talked about before, you got to let these young guys play. You got to let them go. But how do you find that balance between not messing with a streak and giving your young guy a chance to get in there?
Well, if Xavier's playing that bad, coaches will make the change back.
Now
if he's playing that bad, they will make the change back.
Yeah.
Because they feel like Connor is their future, and if he's giving you just as much as the older guy, they'll put him back. And by the same token, if they don't, they won't.
Yeah, his reasoning was Williams is a better pass blocker. Excuse me. Although he's not as big as Su'a-Fila, he's a little quicker in the run game, and he's healthier right now. Which you mentioned.
I thought I saw diminishing returns with Su'a-Fila, and I thought it was time to put him back.
I saw him a couple of times.
Kind of reached his peak.
I thought it was time to put Connor Williams back in there. But again, we don't know that he is totally healthy. He did have surgery, right?
Yeah,
he had his knee scoped. And look how long Taco kind of got back, but he hasn't really played a heck of a lot. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe he's not totally ready to go back out there. Now, he can go out there and be Jumbo Connor in the 3 tight end deal. But it's only a couple plays a game. It's not 60. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, too. But Jason made it sound like that they were rolling with Su'a-Fila.
Now, when you're facing a team like this that has such a strong defensive line, is it the time you don't mess with?
Yeah, maybe.
Mess
or
with the streak,
keep
the
a bigger guy out there that might be a little more sturdy.
Yeah.
Because Fletcher Cox will cause you a problem.
And, watching the way they played just a little bit, I didn't watch just deep into the D and O and D lines against Washington, but Fletcher finally started to get some push, and then Graham got a sack. It's just I don't know what's besides lacking the intensity. People can say the injuries and all that, but when you coming off of a Super Bowl, the intensity you thought you had the year before, when you didn't realize what was happening, now you can measure that. Like you said, you can measure that pressure now, and it's there. It's like a cloud. When they walk into the facility, it's like a cloud coming down on you. He wore me out about that pressure yesterday. But Mick, you were here
25 years ago, right?
You were here. Our first year, did we ever think about pressure when it wasn't there?
Yeah, see, that's surprising.
Yeah.
My assumption, being on the outside, is that this Eagles game is bigger than the Saints game, and the closer you get to the playoffs, the more pressure these young guys, especially, are going to feel. But Nate said that's not the case. I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of how the head coach presents it. Because see, that if you guys heard in the press conference today, that was all the questions. How do you handle this is a big game? And he answered the question, and I swore when he said it, it's like I thought I was listening to Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
Because he said something about if this is the big game and I do something different, then did I cheat myself in the other games?
Yeah.
That wasn't a big game?
Because the question was, I'm not going to make this game bigger than the other game because it's only 16 of them. And so if I make this game bigger and we lose that game, what was I doing all the rest of the game?
Yeah, or what do I say next week?
Yeah.
That's what one couple of weeks ago, Broadus and I got into.
Yeah, they got into it pretty bad. Yeah.
But my point was you can't just say, okay, every game, and act like, okay, we got to ratchet it up because this one's important. Because as you just said, Kurt, when you get to this point in the season and you win one, now the next game's even bigger.
Yes, it is.
And then you win and the next game's even bigger. So you can't come in and just declare this is the big one. And then what if you lose? Then what's the next one?
I'm going to tell you something.
Even keel, and that's why I think that's how you get away from pressure. If and the only thing I can equate it with is, you're playing tennis, and as you get closer to closing out a set, well,
the other person gets
the pressure, and the pressure goes up.
Yeah, right? The other person.
But if you're thinking about the result more than the point, you get yourself in trouble. Yeah. You just got to play the point.
And see, this is what, because Kurt was like, because I didn't, me and Kurt, I was like, God, I don't want him to think that I'm griping or moaning. You know what I'm saying? And so he kind of put me to thinking. And then I look around the league. Well, if that's the case, Jared Goff should fall apart. But Patrick Mahomes should be crumbling. You get what I'm saying? But some guys or some teams, depending on who the coach is, that's what I was telling Kurt the other day. I said, Kurt, Jimmy wouldn't let it be about us. He let it be. He made it big and fun. He's like, man, y'all won last week, but this game here, oh, you really want to show the world what you made out of? And it's just about.
Yeah, you up the ante, but you don't make it like life or death. And I think Jason does a good job of that. And I know everybody probably got bored with his answer.
Oh, they didn't like it.
But that's
I turned off for it.
That's the reality of it.
I turned off for it. I say they asked for it, and I'm going to turn it off for the next minute because he gave it.
Because when you ask that question, you should know what the answer is going to be.
From
right?
him, at least,
right?
yeah.
You know what's coming. Like the one question about the Cowboys are in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
It's like, what driver's seat? It's a little small driver's seat if they are, because they're only one game ahead of two teams, and they got to play the Eagles on Sunday.
But you know what's
what kind of driver's seat?
But you know what's so amazing? It's the fact that it's 102, Mick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. You can stay as long as you want. You know what's so amazing though is, and I brought this up yesterday. Coach Rivera. How he's taking over the defensive calling duties,
and firing people,
and you see, this is what you don't panic too soon, and this is when you start panicking, because coach like, okay, we're on a 4-game skid, we got to change something. Now it's time to change. If you're going to change something, I ain't talking about go fire your head coach. I'm talking about if you're going to change something within your staff, now is that time because everybody is within a game up of 6 or down or over 6. You either 6-5 or 6 and whatever, or you 7 and whatever. And it's crunch time. It's crunch time. And this is how you mess up your team, is when the coach starts panicking. I want to see what the Panthers do because the coach is panicked. I'm serious.
Nice.
So now how is the team to respond?
Yeah.
All right.
And since you got red on, it reminded me of, Oklahoma trying to fix their defense, right?
Right.
Well, they didn't really fix it, did they?
No.
Changing defensive coordinators.
That's what I tell you. When you see your studs, your star players, and your coaches start getting nervous, that now the young guys, what's the issue here now?
Right.
Yesterday we was cool, but what's going on here? Yeah. So now you got everybody doubting everybody. That's when it started mounting.
Right. I think it's okay for us to understand and point out the ramifications of the game.
Yeah.
They just need to play.
Yeah.
And they know, right? They know where they're at.
Man, yeah. They know.
They understand. But if
one game
the
away from the Bears losing.
Yeah.
You one game away from taking over your division. And you one game away from being back in the wild card hunt.
Oh, you're in.
All one game.
Yep.
And that's this game coming.
All right, well, we're past 1 o'clock. I don't know, Mickey, you want to stick around or not? You're welcome
you can stick around. We ain't got.
But we need to take a break.
I just need to eat. That's okay.
So we'll be right back.
Sing, That's Amari for us.
Yeah, that ain't happening, Douglas.
All right, we'll be back. We got some callers on the line. We'll try to hit some of those, and we'll see if Mickey sticks around. So we'll be right back with Hang On with the Boys.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to Hanging with the Boys.
We are back. We're missing Shannon. But I'm still here to give you this wonderful underwear read. Couldn't miss out on that. Tommy John gives you the feeling of freedom where it counts with a contour pouch that nestles the boys. With over 3 million pairs sold, we put the hustle to make sure you're nestled. Shop exclusive Cowboys underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys. Curtis in Las Vegas, I apologize.
So strong at the balls.
Yes, we got to chatting here. Thanks for holding on.
Nate's
no ready for you. Nate's ready
What's
for
up,
you.
man? Bring it to us. Bring it all to us. How you doing, sir? What was you trying to bring to us the other day? What was you trying to bring?
I'm great. I thought I told you.
Okay,
My
what did
son
you tell
is
me?
excited, too. He thought he told you, too.
What's that? Tell me.
Daddy.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, baby.
All right.
But, I told you, man, he wouldn't have nowhere to run.
Uh-huh.
You got him?
Yeah.
But I meant to say Kamara didn't have nowhere to run either, because really nobody runs the ball against us. It's just not. You really don't do that. I mean, it's just not something that teams have been successful doing. I mean, 2 years ago, we were the number one run defense. And y'all said that a couple of days ago on the show about, us playing with Dak playing with a mediocre defense a couple of years ago. And that's what I'm saying. Those guys weren't mediocre. I think our front seven was solid, but our corners were mediocre. So, that's why we were number one in run defense, but our corners weren't great, so we finished like top 15 overall. So, that's what it was.
So what you think about these corners right now? Give us your rankings on that.
Hey, oh man, I mean, Byron Jones is lockdown. I don't want him pulling his gun out until we running off the field. Another celebration. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wait till it's fourth down and we ain't about to punt until you pull your gun out. That's what I want to tell Byron.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, he one of the best,
Okay.
And Cheeto, I mean, we talk a lot about Cheeto, but the only person I've seen beat Cheeto really is Julio, and who don't Julio beat?
Right.
So what?
Yeah.
So he's young. He can go get better every year. So we got to ride with him.
Okay.
But just real quick, just look at the stats. I don't think we scoring in the red zone because Dak ain't running, man.
Okay.
You run every other time. I mean, you run on third down and put your head down. You're a bulldog, or you're a rider. We know that. Once we get inside the 10, that fake to Zeke, that hand off to Zeke, it ain't going nowhere if you ain't a threat to run the ball. They're just going to crash down on you. That's why we ain't. Run that play to Beasley when Beasley dropped that play. Run that play. Right. He won't keep dropping that. What are we saving stuff like that for? I don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, that's something I want to get
into. We
left
20 points out there with that stuff like that, and, that one throw to Gallup. I mean, that's 20 points right there.
Right.
Yeah.
If our defense keep playing like this, there's nobody we can't beat. Nobody.
I like it.
Thanks
for the call, Curtis.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
He brings up something I wanted to ask you guys, and that, right now, let me drill some stats into you. I know you beat you down with this stuff, but we're second in average time of possession per drive, 305. We're fourth in the league in average yards per drive, 6.33. But those aren't turning into points, really. We're 17th in points per drive. It's all coming down in the red zone, right? And how does that get fixed?
Yeah, and they just haven't been good enough inside the 10-yard line. I think they've only scored touchdowns on 4 of their last 9 first and goals, and that's not good enough. And 3 of them have been first and goal at the 4. But you just mentioned one of them. Beasley dropped the touchdown pass, a heck of a call, wide open, and then you struggle. They leaked pass coverage this past game or the game before, right? Noah Brown's wide open to the left side of the end zone. No one covered him, and Dak's backpedaling, and he's got to throw the ball up because he's going to get sacked, and he came up short. So they've had some good plays in there. They just haven't executed or, caught the ball or protected the quarterback. And, and what happens is you're 4 yards away from the goal line. I get it. And, just hand Zeke the ball. Well, what do you think the defense is thinking, too? They're going to stack the box. And the one thing the Cowboys don't have – well, actually 2 things. We talked about it this morning. One, you might not have a savvy enough tight end to figure out the congestion in there like Witten did to get open. And number 2, the back shoulder fade, they don't really have a wide receiver that can jump up high and go get the ball. Now, I think Gallup might turn into that. He's a little bigger than everybody thinks. So they're a little limited in that close-in stuff. But they need to figure it out because it's got to be better.
Back in the day when you were playing it, everybody knew you were going to run. And so you line it up. Up and you run. And Jim Schwartz, the Eagles defensive coordinator, said yesterday that they pretty much know what Dallas is going to do. It's a pretty simple run game in his opinion. So a lot of fans wonder, and I wonder too, are they just getting too cute on the goal line? Do they just need to line it up and go? It's why is Zeke ever come off the field, whether he runs the ball or not? They just need to get up and get in there. And
I wish they would, if they were going to just get up and go and hand him the ball, don't come in with 3 tight ends. Because basically you're saying, it's like that big neon sign that says
like when
EAT.
Cooper run off the field and
yeah.
and
You know,
85
it's like,
run on.
okay, we're going to run, RUN, run. We got 3 tight ends, and sometimes you got to back people off and say, okay, are you sure all 3 tight ends are blocking? You know, are you sure we're not going to throw it at you? Otherwise, sometimes you just beat your head against the wall, and I think the misnomer is this line is so good they're going to blow people off the line of scrimmage.
They obviously don't have the line you guys did.
When you got 3 backups in there.
I tell you, let's hear, man, it's got to be fixed. I mean, whether you throwing it, and more importantly, we can't take sacks down there.
Yeah.
We just cannot.
Or penalties. Sacks
and penalties. That has happened to us a couple times where we took sacks and penalties, and it's just that's a bad thing. You know, I don't care how you get it in there. You got to get it in there because you got to pay attention to. You got to realize if I'm gonna make a mistake, it just cannot be down here. You got to pay attention to detail, man. This is the most. This is the least worked on deal because it's so physical. Goal line, it's so physical in such a small area, but it's the most important once you get down there. It becomes, you know, what everybody talks about. Hey, man, they terrible in the red zone. They didn't get down there but 4 times, but those were 4 great times that you needed to score 7.
You know, and the other guy called and said, you know, Dak's got to run the ball more. Well, okay, you go empty, and now people have seen that, right? Mm-hmm. They've seen the quarterback draw.
Well, I think he wanted
he wanted a run option.
He wanted to run option, so
yeah. But a lot of times everybody's saying, well, why don't they just call that draw? Well, you got to set it up. It's not like, okay, let's just go do it.
Yeah.
Because at some point the middle linebacker's going, oh, not against me, you aren't. You know, you can do something else, but I'm watching this.
Them two techniques over your guards, they just going to sit there.
Yeah.
They just going to hold ground, and then when he take off, they're going to converge on him.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry about rushing him. Yeah. Just make sure he doesn't run right up the gut.
Yeah, so.
Here's another stat.
Attention to detail.
Random thing to throw at you. On the road, scoring touchdowns in the red zone, we're at 57%. At home, we're at 44%. Is there any kind of conservative play because you're got a home field advantage there?
I wouldn't know.
Maybe there's too much noise
from the other team.
I have no idea.
Okay,
it's just
a lot of those things are. It's like, well, who you playing against?
Yeah.
You know, and how good is that defense? Because I think overall, in the red zone, they're like 48% touchdowns.
Yeah,
and that's not. You got to be over 50.
Yeah.
That's kicking too many field goals,
or
giving your opportunity to miss field goals,
yeah,
from a short distance. So, yeah, it's got to be better.
We talked a little bit earlier about Philly's defense, just a little bit about what's changed. I mean, they seemed so much better last year. They haven't lost a ton of guys. They still have,
but they're back in.
The offensive line.
They've had so many injuries in the secondary, right?
Yeah, they back.
I mean, it started in the Cowboy game. They were down guys, and then they lost guys in the game. And I don't think they've gotten everybody back yet. So, yeah, their pass defense, I think, is ranked like 26th or something like that.
Yeah, they're pretty low down there. Just Jernigan didn't play the first game on that defensive line. I know he's kind of a rotational guy. Does he make any kind of difference at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it helps out. I think their key thing is if they're not getting pressure on the quarterback, the back end's going to hurt them.
Right.
So if you can protect your quarterback.
So is the whole key to this game stopping Fletcher Cox?
And
that's a good that's a good place to start.
You know, Brandon Graham found his legs last week. You know, and it's always Chris Long. You know, it's just I don't think, and I'm just being honest. I really in a game of this magnitude, it don't matter. They have been in this spot before. Not the losing part, but you know they've been in this spot before where. They knew they had to play well, and the thing about it, they got the talent. And see, I'm waiting on Michael Bennett. We don't need to let him show up. Michael Bennett just been an okay guy all year long, just an okay guy. We don't need for Michael Bennett to show up like he did for Seattle.
Can a team that has maybe been on a? I mean, you talked about coming back the next year after a Super Bowl, and that's when it really gets tough. Can they figure it out midway through and find their legs, or is it just
because the reason I believe it, Mick, the reason I believe that the Eagles can find their legs because this thing is all about Carson Wentz. That's why I believe they got a chance, because Carson Wentz, I think, is a nice quarterback. I always have. Even this rookie year, I blamed it on the receivers. He was hitting too many people in the hands. You know, if you got a quarterback of this magnitude, you always got a chance. And now they've acquired the Cowboy killer, you know.
Tate?
Yeah.
He finally had a good game, huh?
Yeah. They found out, hey, this is how we use the Cowboy killer. Right before our game, he gets almost 100 yards and a touchdown.
I mean, think about it. You go back 25 years when you guys tried to repeat. You know, you were just 7-4 after 11 games.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but there were 2 games without Emmitt.
I don't care. They were still 7-4.
But the pressure was on, bro.
The pressure was on, and Jimmy basically told him, if we don't run the table, we're not getting home field advantage.
Right.
It's like Jimmy had to tell Jerry, you better sign Emmitt after that 0-2 start.
No, Charles Haley did.
Oh, it was Charles.
Yeah.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, Jimmy been talking to him all day.
But you wouldn't have been 7-4 with Emmitt in the lineup.
Well, you don't know that.
I think I do.
The expert Douglas.
Do not start.
What did Derek Lassen
do not start Mickey up, okay? Do not start Mickey up.
Well, I know I'm poking and prodding.
Don't
but Derek
do that.
Lassen
Don't do
didn't
that.
anything in the league.
That's funny.
So what? They had Troy and Michael and all these Hall of Famers on there.
Mickey.
Yeah, right.
It does.
They weren't
need it all, man.
They weren't.
Fights.
They weren't ready to play.
This wasn't the age of parity or the era of parity. You had, I mean, the first game of that season was Buffalo, right?
First home game.
And I mean, these were teams that if you were going to win, the 49ers were stacked. The Cowboys were obviously stacked. You couldn't just drop one of your future Hall of Famers out of the lineup and expect to
Why not?
do what you were doing.
Why not?
Because that's just the way the league was back then.
What did you lose that game? 13-10 to Buffalo?
I don't even know.
Just enough.
And then you got beat by Washington in the opener? Was that right?
I think that's right.
We saw the 0-2, huh?
Yeah. Remember, no 0-2 team has ever gone to the Super Bowl
except Jimmy Johnson coached team.
And then Jimmy wore your ass out, right? And that's why he ended up, I think, retiring.
Lost at Washington. Lost to Buffalo 13-10.
I tell you
that's
what,
pretty good, huh? 13-10 for an old guy.
Yeah, I'm tell you something, man. I like the Eagles, man. I like how they play. I like that they know who they are, even when they lose. They know that it's all about Carson Wentz, and they do everything in their power to make sure that their offensive line be as healthy as they can be, and they make things where they protect him. I mean, they actually go out of their way, man. Yeah. So because they we don't care, and their head coach, it took them 2 or 3 weeks to figure out how they actually needed to use Golden Tate, and it came to light. So I think Coach Garrett is trying to do the same thing here. But I've always said this is the only time you hear me kind of, put myself on the firing line is management got to let him make his moves. And I don't think every move is made by Jason. I think it is a lot of moves are made by committee, and I could be wrong. But some things it don't seem to be Jason. You know what I'm saying? Some things that maneuver, the moving parts don't seem to be the Jason. Unless he's pulling one over on me,
Let's go back to the phones. We got Adam in Atlanta. How are you doing today, Adam?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Hey,
Good.
Mickey, I got to meet you when you were in Atlanta.
Oh, well, great.
Hold on, man. Yo, man, what's your name?
It's Adam.
Adam, let me tell you something, man. Mickey, you didn't speak to Kurt. And you didn't speak to me. You spoke to Mickey.
Mickey's a rock star.
I think it's cool. Mickey's on an award-winning show for once. So,
what you need, Adam? You can call anytime.
It's like he found the soft spot in the back and then
Oh, no, I was going to get on Adam, and Adam softened me up right quick. Yeah. What's up, Adam, man? What's on your mind?
Nothing much, man. Hey, guys, so after that Titans loss, we were always questioning this team, and I think over the last month they've answered those questions. I think Sunday is the time to start making some statements. My question, though, Zach Ertz, man, he scares me. So, Nate, what can we do defensively? Because, they find a way. Obviously, it reminds me of Witten. They leak him a lot in the backfield. He's just always there at the sticks.
Let me tell you,
at the point of attack.
I figured this out. Watch the film. Go back on your all 22. Okay. What they do is they read that linebacker that's to his side, especially if he's off the ball. If that linebacker take 2 or 3 steps up at all to come at the run, he just snatches out and throws it. And this is one thing they messed up. They let us hear audio during the game. He would call him. He would call him. He would call his quarterback, Wentz. And, to let him know to snatch it out because they on the same
That
page.
Obvious?
Oh, it's that obvious. What we have to do is, and this is kind of hard to do because they got a good offensive line, is our front 4 has to handle that. They have to be able to, if they're confident that they can stop that run, because there's 3 options, and this is the 3rd option that he doesn't do anymore. Remember, Wentz used to pull it out and run a little bit because it was tuck it into the back, looking at the tight end, and if that linebacker come up 2 or 3 feet, he was going to snatch it out. Where if you have it blocked all the way, then all of a sudden he'll pull it out. If that linebacker stays back, he'll pull it out sometime and take off.
It's time to big ball.
Well, now he don't take off as much, and I'm not saying he can't do that against us, but our defensive line has to be able to handle that. That way our linebacker can stand there and make them make a decision. But that's hard when you teach linebackers to what? Take 2 steps forward.
Thanks for the call, Adam. I appreciate it.
Man,
thanks, guys.
I was looking at that, and when I was looking at the game, he said, Wentz. And
really?
They didn't. The announcers did not elaborate on it. I say, man. And they best of friends.
Tell Ben Bloom, man.
Man, they should know that. The thing about it is they know it, but some things, man, work to perfection. But now can you take it all the way down the field and not miss? And they weren't able to do that the last game.
Right. This kind of ties into a question I wanted to ask you now. How big of a deal is it that you're facing this? You're now seeing a team a second time. I mean, pretty much knowing each other already. Is it an advantage for the offense, the defense? I mean, does it matter at all?
It's a dogfight.
It doesn't matter?
It's a dogfight. You know each other. It's who is. What I think when you play the second time, especially with everything that's on the table, it's just who gonna pay attention to detail and who gonna play the smartest. That's what I believe in, because they ain't gonna change much. I mean, they'll have a wrinkle here and a wrinkle there, and we'll have a wrinkle here, a wrinkle there. Whether it's noticed by the public or not, we won't know. But Fletcher Cox loves to bull you, overarm swim you, act like he's going to bull you and try to turn a little speed corner. He's been doing this for 3 years now. What is he going to do different?
I thought Jason answered he actually answered that question. I can't remember if it was during the press conference or the walk-off. And basically, I think what he was trying to say from a skill standpoint, you know each other.
Yes.
I know what Nate can do. He knows what I can do. But it's 5 games ago or 4 games ago, and teams change, and they're not going to have the same game plan, and they're not going to have maybe the same tendencies. So that part of it changed. You may know the talent level, the skill, but you don't know really what they're going to do because everybody changes from game to game to game. So I don't know that playing them a second time makes a big difference. I mean, Nate can tell you, you had to sometimes you end up playing 3 times, right? Philadelphia in the playoffs.
Okay, this is where it gets you. Most coaches go a 4-game block. They don't want to go past 4 games because they figure if you changing, it's only about 2 teams in the league or 3 teams in the league can do what New England do. New England would change like a chameleon. Well, most teams can't do that. Even Kansas City, they don't do a whole lot of different change. You go back and look at the Rams, they ain't changing a whole lot. But what coaches will do is stay within that 4-game block. But at the same time, coaches are looking at themselves. What have we done? So that's why I say they'll run 70% of their offense the same. And then 30% of it they may give you with formations or they may give you some wrinkles, you know. But I know who Fletcher Cox is, and ain't much he can do on 3rd and 5. You can do a game or you coming at me.
Yeah.
You know, because situational football brings you back to what you know. Because what scares coaches more than anything is to try something new and not be 100% with it.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of coaches will try something new, but as soon as they see it going haywire, we'll get rid of Paul Alexander and bring in another.
When you are facing that team that second time, then is it more on the coaches to shift up the scheme a little bit, or is it more on the players to know that I just have to execute better because they know me and I know them?
They have an advanced scout that, you know, you've been up in the press box where you see the other team guys up there. Mick, you see it all the time where you see the other team. They have an advanced scout and they say, wow, you know, the Cowboys are doing something a little bit different, you know, this game here. They did this, they did that, and, man, this is totally different than last time. So now the coaches work on that. But they ain't going to spend a whole lot of time saying, hey, man, they done did this different, this different, different. They can't work on all of it. The practice ain't that long. The league don't allow that no more. They have them 2 hours and 50-minute practice.
Yeah, sometimes I think teams just run a play, set it up for the next week, and it's like, oh, we saw what they did on that trick play. Now we got to spend 5 minutes on it.
Yeah.
And you waste 5 minutes because they ain't going to run it again. It's just a show, right? And then it costs you to, if you run a sweep option, end around pass or whatever, it's like, okay, we got to practice that now.
See, because this is what I had problems during the year during the summertime, always trying to absorb these big play. I almost cussed. These big playbooks. But as soon as the season starts, we had like 25 run plays at the most. And that's overstating it. We'll have maybe 10 run plays. And now the pass plays, that will be different. But that was for the wide receivers. We just only had to worry about protections.
Right.
So we'll have 4 or 5 protections. And now I'm sitting happy because I'm like, wow, whew, I'm glad we overtraded, Cap. You know what I'm saying? Because all these new plays, this is who we are. Well, the Cowboys have a bigger playbook now, and their weekly playbook is bigger than what ours was. So these guys got to know all of this. But still, you have staple plays, especially when we weren't winning them first 8 weeks, when we were looking real bad. They had like maybe 20 plays, like, let's get good at these 20 plays. So now when the team say, oh, we knew what they was going to run. Yes, because we was a bad team. Mm-hmm. Well, we running them same plays with a little bit more formations now. Now what makes us – God, I mean, nobody was open. Well, what makes our guys open now is Cooper can play the slot on both sides. Cooper can play both outside. He goes in motion. So that's why Antonio Brown running wide open. That's why the kid from Atlanta running, because you can't cover every position they're going to play. Well, that's why it was easy for us to cover Dez at the end of his career.
Right.
Nice.
And that was on him.
Yeah, that was not on the coaching staff.
It was on him?
You know, it was on the coaching staff because they should have at least made him have an option. But he didn't want an option, so.
Well, boys, we've reached 1:30. I can't believe it.
Oh, my.
You should promote Mickey's show tonight.
Mickey's got a show tonight.
Mickey's got a Cowboys Legend show tonight, and our guest will be homegrown Patrick Creighton.
Oh, nice.
Up in the Cowboys Club.
You know what, man? That show, well, I remember me and Mick used to do that show together.
Yeah?
Me, Mick, and who else? It was always Bill?
It was me and you for a while there.
Yeah.
And then Bill came along.
Yeah, Bill barged in on
Nate would get that crowd stirred up at Hooters.
Oh, man. It didn't matter what we had, was winning season or losing season. We'd be in there having some fun.
We went from Hooters to Buffalo Wild Wings
to promote it up to the
Gaylord,
up
and now in the Cowboys Club.
Yeah.
Great high tone now.
Yeah.
Creighton is not afraid to speak his mind.
No.
I don't know what he's up to these days. It'll be interesting to tune in and learn a little bit about him.
We'll find that out.
Nice. All right.
It'll be later on this very channel.
Very good. All right, sir. Well, Mickey, thanks for coming in.
Sure, this was fun.
Thanks for calling us, man.
Glad to be on an award-winning talk show.
There you go. Thank you, Curtis and Adam. Douglas, thank you for doing your magic back there and for trying to poke the bear over here with Mickey. You don't appreciate that, but that's all right. Kent, thanks for doing what you do. Everybody else back there helping us out. Nate, appreciate it, my man. We'll be right back tomorrow. Shannon, hope you're feeling better.
Get Shannon better.
Mick,
I can't reach.
I'll get you on this side.
Okay.
All right. Hope you feel better, Shannon. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's right, Shannon.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?